Riolu is dead. Say goodbye to AURALINK and say hello to Aurastar. It's been a long time coming, 12 years in fact, but I have finally broken free from the shackles of this tiny blue dog and evolved into my own person. Hey, if you don't know who I am, the name's Aura, and I make shapes move using software that I hate. Now, I've been making videos for way too long, and throughout all of that, this funny little fella right here, this guy was my sort of right-hand man, my mascot if you will. I'm now 22 and pay rent. A very stark contrast to the tiny child who just sat in his room making Pokemon Let's Plays all day. So I figured it'd be quite interesting to have a little look at the evolution of the Aura character, have a little look at why I killed him, and have a little look into the future of the Aurastar channel. So Pokemon was created in 1998. Originally, I was actually going to call my channel Frostlass 2010, but it was taken. Now I can only imagine the absolute glory, fame and success that would have come with branding like that, but hey, I digress. If you couldn't tell by now, as a kid, I liked Riolu. I think it was all of the Pokemon Ranger episodes of the anime that made me think, damn, he is cool as hell. I wanted to make Pokemon videos just like a lot of other people I saw at the time, and it only felt fitting to use a Pokemon as the face of the channel, and thus, Riolu 2010 was born. As you can see, branding was not my strong suit before puberty. Evidently, it was also not my strong suit during puberty, so we can all be glad that I'm an old man now.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I wish this was an edit, but I unironically used this for an extended period of time. Why is the text blurry? Why is my name there twice? And why is the star up like that? I swear they get more cohesive as we go. You guys will see when graphic design finally clicks with me. Oh, you can't see what's going on here? Clearly, you guys have not seen this render of Shadow the Hedgehog enough in your life. Why is he here? Beats me! There was a Riolu variant too, but then my banner was this? If you're ever unsure on whether or not you qualify as a graphic designer, an artist, a musician, anything, just know that if 12-year-old me can claim to be a graphic designer with this, you're automatically a respected professional in whatever your respected field is. If you're watching this right now, I bet you're probably around my age. I know you had a mustache era, you can't hide from me. You are not immune to 2013 internet culture. Evidently, it hit me so hard that it became one of my 3 core personality traits, and even propelled me to steal artwork to use in my header for years to come. Okay, maybe those 2 things aren't related, but to repent for my sins, shouts out to Birdie for not sending out hitmen to annihilate 12-year-old Aura. Mustaches and crimes aside, this is art? I especially like the stretched JPEGs you can see the corners of, and the paint splash. Oh, it definitely fits the aesthetic and even still has some of the background left in. Wonderful! Hey man, at least it can't get worse than... Yes, it's traced, and yes, it's still somehow terrible. Now that is true skill. But at this point you might be thinking, oh, Aura must have just forgot to update the title cards, because they all say 2013, so it must just say all that by default. Turns out 13-year-olds have a lot of free time on their tiny little hands. So this is when I got my first logo. I asked a friend on DeviantArt at the time to draw me up a little Lucario hat, because I figured it'd be quite cute to incorporate into all my banners and designs. I'm sure they appreciated getting stretched out real good. I thought it was a nice little accent onto the end of text. I'm not really too sure why the only character I made wear it was Shadow, but go off I guess. Also, I know this is the Lucario hat era, but it seems as if the mustache era lasted a little longer than I'd like to admit. Hey man, it was 2013 and that was valid personal branding. Our last example with the Lucario hat is here. Now, I just find it really funny that I've included Mario, Sonic, Kirby, and fucking Naruto. In case you didn't know, I have quite literally only ever played Pokemon on the channel. Banger. After 200 goddamn rebrands in the same year, I finally started to get the basics of graphic design. It finally started to click. Now, it may not look like it here, but to go from this to this in a year? Now that is impressive in my book. I thought I was super clever with this one. I made Riolu hold the Aegis Slash here, and then proceeded to use that everywhere. Until I got bored like a week later and then made this banger. This is the first actual decent piece I've shown so far. Solid composition, decent color scheme and contrast, simple and effective concept. Hey, good job me. I sure do hope that I use it for a long time and don't change it in the next 2 months. By this point I thought, I sure would love some original artwork so I could stop stealing it from other artists and Google Images. And by that point, we had another DeviantArt friend come in clutch. Now, after all these years, I somehow actually found the original post, and it says in the description to remember to credit them, so shouts out to Shiro Kyun for what I can only describe as the most dripped out Riolu you've seen in your entire life. Now, this is the first of many Riolu OCs, but we have to start it out with the classic gamer headset, 2014 Turtle Beach Gang Rise Up, a nice little hoodie, and the Megastone pendant to show you he ain't playing around. This is also when I learned to reel back a little bit on the effects and put less reliance on stock images and textures and stuff. You know what? This is actually not too bad for a 13-year-old. Though the Skype me just sounds like it's inviting trouble, so let's move on. This one contained the simplicity of the last banner, with a lot more playfulness and expressiveness. A fine composition consisting of Pokemon blended into a wonderfully crafted illustration done by some guy on the internet probably. I don't really know, I just kind of found the background images in Google. That aside, this finally shows some more hints of some more advanced techniques like superimposition and color correction. Was this a turning point in my career where I stuck with the theme and kept it for a long time to establish a well-known brand? Yeah, I watch anime, how could you tell? Another day, another OC, but this time his power level is unmatched, since he has access to Ichigo's Hollow Mask, the Sharingan, and the Wii U gamepad. I don't really know why I insisted so heavily on having anime references in my branding when not once did I play anything even remotely close to an anime game. My guy Mario being here right next to him though just makes this even funnier. At the time, I was actually starting to get into playing Mario Kart 8 on the channel, so the branding still made sense at least. You can see the dynamic parallels between the Mario and Pokemon, Red and Blue, Riolu and 2010. Nah, I can't be hating on my 13-year-old self that much. I'll leave that to you guys who knew me from back in the day to be hating on me in the comment section below. So far, the main staples of the branding have been Riolu mascots drawn up by other very talented artists. Well, what if I made my own branding staple? My own logo that I could use everywhere. Something so simple yet so refined and iconic that every single person in the YouTube sphere could recognize and go, yes, that is a graphic design from a graphic designer. Yep, I sure unleashed my inner hollow with this one. Well, sloppy as this may be, this is my first actual logo conceptualized and designed by myself, so it'll be quite fun to compare it to the latest one. It had something going. You could tell it was Lucario with a funny little chest spike and the dreadlocks, and we even kept the bleach mask in there because I felt it was such an integral part of my OC's character. Solid font choice too, all things considered. It's thick and bold enough to allow for all the added extra illustrated elements to not look out of place. I just wish it didn't exist. As you can see, it didn't fit too well into the 1x1 format, but what's this? Why has it got a new background? Are we gonna get some sort of new header to go along with it as well? Yes. I rebrand it every 2 months, you know where this is going. Prepare yourselves for the final Riolu 2010 header. I hate this now, but back in 2014, everybody thought it was popped off, so you know what, I'll take it. It was leaning more into the sort of grungy stock image, stock texture with 100 color corrections type of look that everyone was going for at the time, so it was pretty popular back then. It didn't necessarily fit the 13-year-old playing Pokemon Roblox and selling graphics for dirt cheap at the time, but it was trendy and graphic designers need to keep up with the trends, so I'll give it that. Why are there floating rocks here? Massive paint splashes? I guess I did do speed art, so I guess that's some kind of connection. Aura Army Unite? How about we don't? Now, one final thing about the Riolu 2010 era. So you know how back in the day, every single person had merch? Whether you had 1,000,000 subs, 1,000 subs, you just liked your designs and you wanted everybody to have them on the t-shirt. Well, I got one final piece of art commissioned. Now this was expensive. Bearing in mind that I was 13 here, I was making money selling designs for quite literally nothing sometimes. I went to the one big artist that did everyone's art at the time, Pandemonium, and got the absolute coolest Riolu I could possibly think of for the at the time very hefty price of $100. Now, how many shirts did I sell? 1. Okay, that's a lie. I sold 3, including this one, so as far as I'm concerned, it was a well worth it investment. We'll step foot into actual graphic design territory in a second, but I feel like we can't properly understand who Aurastar is on a core personal level without acknowledging this fella. Ninja Shuriken? Check. Black Star Top? Check. Mega Pendant? Check. Bleach Mask? Check. Have I even finished Bleach? No! I didn't know what filler was as a 13-year-old and I stopped at the bound arc because I thought it was really boring! But yeah, Riolu was my longest-standing mascot at the time and it really did not seem like I was going to stop anytime soon. It actually took an entire year's break before we got our next rebrand. A much needed break, thank God. But with this newest rebrand, we'd actually get a whole new identity. Riolu 2010 was created when I was 10 years old. I was 14 now, a grown man. And I needed a better internet alias. Using numbers in the name was cringe and I needed something better. Some of my options, according to myself at the time, were Pure Aura, Light Aura, Dark Aura, Shadow Aura, Aura Breaker, Mask Aura, Mask Rolo, Aurolo, Rolor, oh my fucking god, Auralition, Riolution, Vivid Aura, Shaded Aura, Cloaked Aura, Cryptic Aura, Lord Aura, Rolord Aura, oh my fucking, okay, Auralink, there's a good one, Aura Wing again, Rollerina, Roller and Ocarina, that sounds, I don't know, that sounded much better in my head, honestly, yeah, and like Phantom and Plasma Aura. Yeah, okay, let's just go with Auralink. Aura, like Riolu's Aura, and Link from The Legend of Zelda. What if they made a crossover? And thus, the Triforce Ball was born. Now, evidently I have a habit of this thing. You know how I spent hundreds on commissions of my Riolu OC in different sort of Bleach outfits even though I had never even finished Bleach? Well, you'll take a guess how many Zelda games I finished when I made my entire branding, entire personality under the alias Auralink? Auralink? None!
Hell no.
And to this day, I'm still only beating Breath of the Wild! I don't know what forces compelled me to base half my entire brand on a series I had beaten a single game of, but in my defense, I did really enjoy the manga, it was pretty good. I read all of it, I like that, and I played some other Zelda games, but I don't know, man, I got lost in this one. I think I was kind of stupid and dumb as a kid, and like, I don't know, man, I still like the series, but yeah, I guess I kind of based it off the aesthetics, so I guess this is what we're going to be dealing with for the next decade. Anyway, back to the actual design. I went with a very nice and vibrant, curious blue, still my favorite color by the way, with some yellow accent to match the Triforce's color scheme. Now that I think about it, this might actually explain the consistent use of blue and yellow up until my most recent branding. Huh. The actual header itself could have been a little bit better. As you can see here, we have a nice collage of some of my best commissions at the time, with the edge of Riolu faded into the background as we see him for the very, very last time. I was still trying to move away from stock images, so I figured a nice little collage for the background would work, but why stop there? Why use fonts that people have laboriously and painstakingly handcrafted over months and years, when I could just cut up a few shapes that added some epic Zelda references? In my defense, it works kinda well with that tattered aesthetic, but remind me to never ever make a font using shapes in Photoshop ever again. All in all, it's definitely a little bit more Zelda-y than Pokemon-y, but hey, it's all graphic designing. We got a little rework a few months later because, of course we did, and with that new little rework came two new funky little Riolus, drawn by the very talented Kirby Austria. Now that is an Auralink. At the time, I also got really into the first Splatoon game, making epic content such as the Splatoon Splattage. So I got a funky little Inkling Riolu too, equipped with their own little Triforce bracelet to stay on brand of course. The banner in the back looks a whole lot better with the Zelda pattern rather than the abomination of a custom font that I made, and we even ended up making a whole new logo. This was a very bold and typographic logo with some nice Zelda features. It's nothing I created today, but it definitely does its job at standing out in a nice bold fashion and representing the channel well, so you know what, good job me. If you couldn't tell by the heading, I like yellow a little too much. A year went past and the yellow completely overtook the blue in our branding. Something tells me it was to do with this individual here, but I guess we'll never know for sure. Our newest logo sported the same Triforce wings as before, this time with a cheeky little Majora's Mask replacing the tittle on the eye. A nice touch, but still definitely a little bit heavier than Zelda. I'm not going to critically analyze this down to its core, or I will quite literally be here all day, so I'll just say that while it still feels a little too busy, it definitely has a very definitive personality with this vibrant contrast of colours. You do definitely need a little bit more contrast in a banner though next time. Please. I'm begging you. Also yes, we are going to completely ignore the #LinkLegion and never speak of it ever again. Thank you.
Ooh, I love my wife. I love my wife.
You know how Chance the Rapper is a rapper and is called Chance? Well, I'm a designer and my name is Josh. There was way too much yellow and nowhere near enough Riolu last time, so let's bring it back to the basics here. Apparently, this Riolu with a weirdly muscular facial structure was my idea of back to the basics as a 16-year-old. Huh, I was really into polygonal designs at the time, so I figured, hey, why not do my own Riolu like that? A lot of people did not like him, and I see why now. Just like usual, we also had a snazzy new logo. This is the first proper logo design that I think I made for myself that actually attempted to follow the basics of logo design fundamentals. While it's not the best it could have been, I still think it's actually quite charming. More muted color palette than before, I was going for a pastel phase, keeping the iconic duo tones of the blue and yellow. Now, you may be wondering, why are there chains hanging off the text? Well, those aren't chains, silly. They're links. Did you get it? Like AURALINK. I was looking at the date on this one, and I realized it was made in June. I'm sincerely apologetic to the LGBTQ+ community for stealing your color palette on your month. I want it to happen again. It does go kinda hard though, I can't lie. I think I was tired of the pastels and wanted something super in your face, bold and vibrant. So I made a single rectangle, made it wiggly, duplicated it a few times, added color, and boom! That's graphic design, baby! I also had this little guy here as my icon at the time, but between you and me, he might have been slightly kinda traced, so we're gonna just ignore him and move on to the next thing. After getting bored being a self-proclaimed graphic designer after all these years, I decided to finally dip my little blue toes into Adobe Illustrator. Boom! Check out this little guy. I hope you like him and how he's drawn because I absolutely refuse to develop my art style for the next 3 years. I've always been a little funny when it comes to art. Now when I say art, I'm also talking about this versus this. In my head, this is art and this is design. There's a distinction between the two, although the line is very often blurred, especially once you start incorporating illustrative and graphic design elements. I absolutely loved drawing as a kid, but whenever I saw people that were my age or even younger than me making stuff that was absolutely incomprehensible to me, like stuff that is just so good you can't even comprehend how they've done it, it just disheartened me to the point where I was like, you know what, let me just stick to what I know. This was a little bit different with me in design though. Whenever I saw my friend just improve and improve and improve, I took that as a challenge. I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna let you pass me, I'm gonna pass you. So I don't know, rather than getting disheartened with design, maybe I just felt like I had more of a grasp on it as a whole, so I just stuck with it. But with art, I never felt like I really got it. Basically, I never really learned how to do art properly, so a lot of my early illustrative work is really basic. I would just sketch out the absolute most bare bones sketch on paper, and then just do all the actual proper work in Illustrator. This tangent was just a very roundabout explanation as to why he's just a simple head with no body. I could have just said, hey, it was a stylistic choice, or hey, because I thought it was cool, but then I'd be lying. He was still kinda cool though. Very basic shapes of my bread and butter, and this is a tasty design. Very curved features, minimal muted colors, and incredibly simplistic shading. This was the signature AURALINK style back then. Why not accompany this wonderful new illustration with some wonderful new type to match? Again, very rounded pastel shades to complement everything. I actually still kinda like this one. I wanted a pattern to use in all my overlays and headers and everything, so we had this half tone in the background. The red definitely contrasts the foreground, which makes it pop. Though the red doesn't necessarily have much to do with the AURALINK brand, it still looks kinda cool here. Let's go back to the Riolu for a sec. Maybe I was a little bit too harsh than before, he's actually quite cute. He actually looks quite nice in the profile picture. Too bad I used this instead. Vibrant colors came back with a vengeance here, in what I can finally describe as the good era of AURALINK. While the typographic logo here was still pretty generic, it popped like a motherfucker and captured the bold, dynamic look I was going for. Also, new year, new Riolu. This might actually be my favorite self-made Riolu yet. He's just such a happy little dude. I tried to be a lot more expressive this time around, so to complement the bold, bright colors and shapes, we finally made them shapes move. Yeah, it's nothing crazy, but this is my first time putting motion into a personal rebrand, and I was super happy with it. Also, another bonus, this time everything was actually cohesive. We had a proper brand going on. You could look at my header, then the overlay, and know they're from the exact same Riolu-loving British boy. For my final year of university, we had a personal branding project. We had about 6 months or so to come up with a personal rebrand for ourselves to use in the real world after we graduated. Now obviously everyone's idea of how they envision themselves is going to be very, very different, but I think I was actually the only person in the entire class not to use their real name in their branding. Of course we had to use it as the prime opportunity to give AURALINK yet another rebrand, and get a cheeky little degree in the process. Now this may just look like a very simplified version of the last video I showed you, but I kid you not, this took 80 pages of research and several months of my life. I did case studies, mood boards, iteration on iteration on iteration of logos, and my business cards, stickers, even the fucking mailer box. Who do you know that has a fucking mailer box? Safe to say, I was very thorough. I wrote 80 pages of research, and all I got was a Riolu with 2 more ears. I do absolutely adore the new art direction, but I really thought I could get away with just calling these dreadlocks and being like, well yes, this is my hair and definitely not a Riolu. He's my own original character that I will now use for the foreseeable future. Now evidently it didn't work out, but I'm going to put a few things on screen now just to show you exactly how in depth I went. Like, I did legitimately try and do my own thing with this, but ultimately played it way too safe for one reason or another. As I said in my research, the new logo is much more technically refined and thought out than the previous, taking much more care in considering the universal application and brand colors. My new logo fulfills the function of being digital, fun, adaptable, creative, colorful, minimalist, artistic, illustrative, expressive, enthusiastic, bold. But if it truly fulfilled all of that, why am I here right now making this video? Because it wasn't me. This is me. I wanted to create something that felt personal and didn't require any ties to any existing IPs or concepts. Same style but more free and fun. I tried being a lot less symmetrical and rigid than normal while still maintaining the aesthetic that I built up over the past few years. This time he actually has locks. Suck on that one, Riolu from last year. Yes, while in real life I don't have a tail, dog ears or a comically large pencil, I still see this as an artistic expression of me. Also, I swear to God, I'm not a furry. This dude is swag jacking though, look at this dude stole my fit. It might be just a cool drawing to some, but this little dude right here sparked something within me that none of my illustrations ever had before, and I'm so happy to be rebranded with him as my mascot. I kept the aura bit in the name because it's still a nickname that I actually really like. Now, of course, the link portion of the name just has absolutely no relevance anymore. I never really did in the first place, and I feel like Stardust makes a lot more sense. You guys have seen my art, it just works a lot better for me. And I thought this is a tag that I can actually move on with for the rest of my life now. Or until I get bored next week. One of the main reasons I changed my name was because of him. John Stewart. He is a bastard man. Taunting me by not using Twitter for almost a decade despite me very politely tweeting at him for years. Oh boy, I surely hope that my new tag is available on the very popular social media website twitter.com. So, where do we go from here? I want to put more focus into my artistic endeavors. As much as I love gaming and I love playing games with chat, I feel like I just can't keep up with the rapid pace of what's expected as a gaming creator, especially with a full-time job. Even when I didn't have a job and I poured months into doing quite literally nothing but the design arc last year, it just didn't make long-term sense to carry on in that direction. You can still be incredibly proud of something and still move on from it. I still make mostly gaming adjacent creations anyway, so join me in the journey of animating funky Pokemon logos, trying to set up an online sticker and print store, and critiquing every single design aspect of every single video game imaginable. Also some more general stuff. I've had some ideas from like 2017, it's now almost 2023, why haven't I made them yet? This is finally my opportunity to be more artsy with stuff, in short form and long form, so I hope you stick around for the latest Rio 2010, AURALINK, Aurastar arc. This might seem like a sudden change to all of you who've come to expect only gaming content from me over the past few years, but the signs were all there. And the most obvious sign of all?
Hey, what's up guys, Riolu here, and I'm bringing you part 2 of my 2000 subscribers Q&A special. So first of all,
I'm going to rebrand it to Aurastar at the end of the year 2022 and use this as a joke to end off the video.